Hello everyone, in this video I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. In the past few hours I've spent a time of great anxiety, restlessness and tension. As you know, there had been threats of an imminent attack and Israel has now launched a barrage of strikes on Iran just a few hours ago. As I speak to you right now, news confirmed by Iran indicates that the third phase of these attacks is currently underway. Israel's Prime Minister addressed the nation through a media speech and said, "We have initiated a strike process against the existential threat to our nation. These attacks will continue for several days until we achieve our objectives and attain success." He stated that in the first wave, Israel targeted Iran's nuclear installations, military bases, military leadership and missile sites. As of now, analysts are widely expressing concern that a major war could erupt in the region. Some newspapers may exaggerate, of course, but the bitter facts available thus far are as follows. In the first round of attacks, Israel's Air Force targeted 5 or 6 locations across different cities in Iran. Apart from aerial attacks, Israel also carried out covert operations inside Iran using its own assets and agents on the ground, which includes assassinations, military base sabotage, and drone assembly and strikes from within Iran. Among the targeted sites were Tehran and 5 locations around it, military-related buildings, nuclear facilities, especially the one at Natanz. Western media has often reported that the Natanz nuclear facility is located 80 to 100 meters underground, and without American-made 3,000-pound bunker-buster bombs, Israel cannot penetrate such depth. Official sources have maintained that Israel does not possess such bombs, so why and how Israel has chosen to attack Natanz is a major question right now. Other targeted places include Arak, not Iraq, this is inside Iran, Tabriz, Isfahan and possibly Kerman or Kermanshah. As I told you, Netanyahu stated that this war will continue. Iran admitted very early, unlike India or Pakistan, that some of its top commanders in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have been killed, including General Hossein Salami in the first attack. And now, well, it's confirmed that General Bagheri, their chief of staff, is also dead. Many other top military officials have been killed as well. This really implies the strikes were carried out with accurate intelligence and well-thought-out planning. Israeli sources and American media are reporting that these attacks were planned for months. Israel's defense ministry and government have declared an emergency and airspace has been closed. The Israeli military chief has warned his people, do not only expect success, be prepared for retaliation and losses. Israel expects missile and drone attacks from Iran, but none have occurred yet. The likely reason, honestly, is that Iran has not had time to regroup or respond. Iran had claimed in 2023 that it possesses hypersonic missiles, Fateh 1 and Fateh 2, with a range over 2,000 kilometers and speeds above Mach 5. However, most Western defense analysts, really doubt these claims due to the heavy sanctions on Iran, which make it quite difficult to assemble the necessary components or develop such advanced technology. Unlike India and Pakistan, which have advanced air forces, India has Rafales, advanced Mirages and Su-30 squadrons, while Pakistan has J-10Cs, JF-17s, modified F-16s and so on. Iran, in contrast, has a very weak and outdated air force, still relying on 1970s-era F-4s, F-14 Tomcats, and a few MiG-29s from early 1990s Russia. They might have 1 or 2 squadrons of Su-30s, but overall, Iran just lacks the capability to meaningfully engage with Israel's air force. Despite Iranian claims that their jets have taken to the air to counter Israel, I, frankly, highly doubt they can effectively engage Israeli aircraft. This is why Israeli planes are freely striking inside Iran, including operations on the ground. To be honest, I've always heard boisterous rhetoric from some in Pakistan's media about Iran's strength, but I've long been deeply concerned about Iran's actual military vulnerability. Events in 2004, and especially after October 7th, 2023, have only increased those concerns. I had hoped things would not reach this point. My understanding is that Iran's leadership knows how weak they are militarily, which is why they initiated nuclear negotiations when Trump came to power. The second round of nuclear talks between Iran and the United States, through third-party countries like Oman, were initiated by Iran. Trump himself didn't want a war on his resume. He preferred a deal. But the bottom line for Trump was always, Iran must not be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. I've said before, I don't think Iran wants to build a nuclear device. Rather, it wants to use the threat of it as leverage, a bargaining chip to get sanctions lifted. Iran is a petro-economy with strong potential if sanctions are removed. Iran wants an opportunity to emerge from crisis and grow strong using its oil wealth. But I feared, and rightly, that Israel was pushing too far, and this would lead to war. 10 days ago, there was pressure from Israel to derail the progress of United States-Iran nuclear negotiations. A major American-Israeli-linked outlet, Axios, claimed it had seen the document United States negotiators gave Iran. That proposal included an offer for Iran to enrich uranium to only 2.5 to 3%, far less than needed for weapons. I said in one of my vlogs that Iranians must be thrilled. This was a great deal for them, even if publicly they acted reluctant. But soon, American negotiators came under pressure from Israeli sources. The Israelis demanded that Iran must guarantee 0% enrichment, something Iran would not accept. That's the trap Netanyahu set to sabotage the talks. On the Monday, when Trump spoke to Netanyahu, Israeli and American officials told the media that Israel insisted on military action, saying Iran is dangerously close to building a nuclear device. For the past 15 to 20 years, we've been hearing Iran is only 2 weeks away from building a nuclear bomb. And now, finally, the situation has escalated into real conflict. The manufacturer will directly prepare to attack Israel. Many of these things fall into the realm of disinformation. Now, senior American officials have confirmed that Donald Trump, and also the Israelis, have said that Trump told the Prime Minister of Israel to give the talks a chance. If even by Sunday there is no outcome from the negotiations happening in Muscat, the capital of Oman, between Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Koof and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, this was the 6th or 7th round, then at least give that a chance. It seemed, and I felt, that it was very difficult. While American talks were ongoing, despite that, Donald Trump also said that Israel could launch an attack. But it's highly inconceivable that if the United States, acting as a mediator, has made it clear to Israel that there should be no attack. And even then, Israel proceeds with one. Then the narrative is being pushed that Israel did this without United States involvement. However, that logic doesn't quite add up. It's also important to mention that by the end of 2024, Israel had reduced or eliminated almost all of Iran's proxies, like Hamas and Hezbollah. And the events in Syria, you saw that, leaving Iran isolated and vulnerable. And Israel believed, just before the US elections, that this was a highly opportune moment to strike Iran, denying it any further time to regroup or renew itself. At that time, however, the Biden administration had a very clear stance. Iran was not to be attacked. The Israeli establishment, particularly Benjamin Netanyahu, had hoped that once Trump returned to power post-elections, they would get permission to attack Iran, and the US and Israel would jointly solve the Iran issue through military action. 2 months ago, when Netanyahu met President Trump in Washington, and Trump announced that the US and Iran were initiating nuclear talks, Netanyahu was shocked. After that, his team and the Israeli establishment began actively trying to sabotage the talks. The result of those efforts is what we are seeing now. Now, regarding the negotiation terms, Israel and the Zionists influenced those terms heavily. Let me highlight this crucial point. This issue isn't fundamentally about bombs or nuclear weapons. The core objective of Israel's establishment and of Netanyahu is to destroy the Islamic Republic of Iran's political standing in the Middle East and the Arab world. The goal is to make the Arab world see that in the region there is only one dominant military and strategic power to whom they must submit. Once Iran is neutralized or diminished, countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, all of which consider Iran an enemy, will naturally fall in line. These countries are already beginning to see Israel as an ally. Once Iran is out of the way, Israel emerges as the region's major military and strategic power. That's their principal goal, and much debate can be had around it. Now, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that the United States is not involved in this conflict. He emphasized the protection of US forces in the region, which number around 40,000. Many non-essential diplomatic staff have already been withdrawn from various countries. Rubio said Iran must not attack American assets or forces. While the Trump administration has a somewhat moderate stance, inside the US, Republican congressmen and senators are constantly spewing fire against Iran. On the other hand, Democratic lawmakers say Israel has acted very irresponsibly and has pushed the entire region toward a major war. Importantly, Rubio did not say Iran should not retaliate against Israel. This nuance has been closely watched by Israeli media. Remember, during the Biden administration in 2024, Iran had sent hundreds of cruise missiles and drones toward Israel. Although, to be honest, they were slow and not particularly effective. Despite having no shared border, Israel and Iran are at least 1,000 miles apart, with Iraq in between. The US had used all its warships and assets to help intercept those missiles. Jordan also played a role in stopping them. Now, if Iran launches hypersonic or supersonic missiles at Israel, will the US again try to intercept them in the same way? I think they will, because of current political realities. Jordan has already declared that its airspace is closed and will not be used in this war. Diplomatically, this means if Iranian missiles pass through Jordan's airspace toward Israel, they will be intercepted. Whether the same rule applies to Israeli aircraft is yet to be seen. When the fifth round of talks was supposed to take place in Rome on May 22nd, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that if Israel attacked Iran, they would hold the United States responsible. One reason is likely that US assets fall within Iran's range. Iran may believe it cannot launch a full-scale assault on Israel, but wants to escalate the situation into a broader conflict to gain leverage. As I said earlier, Iran has no real air force. Its main option lies in its hypersonic missiles. Its proxies and allies have largely been dismantled. The Houthis are far away, and Hezbollah's capacity has been significantly reduced. Wars typically happen when one side believes it holds a dominant position in the balance of power, and that the opponent cannot respond effectively. India had a similar belief in May 2025, but their calculations proved wrong. Iran, however, has severe limitations, and Israel is conducting commando operations. Clearly, this situation is still developing, and within hours, we'll see more outcomes from both sides. Iran has acknowledged that 6 of its military bases have been attacked, and its top military leadership has been decapitated. Iran has admitted to this, but the extent of the damage remains unknown. Historically, Israel has pioneered the use of preemptive strikes post-World War II, such as the 1956 Suez Crisis, where Israel, along with Britain and France, attacked Egypt to gain control of the canal, and the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, where Israel destroyed Egypt's air force on the ground through a preemptive strike. Now, Israel is once again establishing a global trend through this new preemptive strike. I think it is important to say this. Such adventurous thinking may also exist in the minds of Indian strategists regarding Pakistan. Not now, but possibly in the future, in an undeclared fashion and without any excuse. Their target would likely be Pakistan's air bases. Between May 7th and 10th, India demonstrated this intent. And we also realized that Pakistan's geographical depth is limited, long in length but short in depth, meaning it is highly vulnerable to Indian missile attacks. India has also understood Pakistan's defense systems. I am sure Pakistan's strategic defense planners are fully aware of this, and are working hard to develop a counter-strategy in case India attempts such adventurism targeting Pakistani air bases, missile sites or air force. Lastly, Donald Trump's international standing has been severely affected over the past 100 days. Remember, before the elections and before even becoming president, he claimed in his campaign that he would end the Russia-Ukraine war before entering the White House on January 20th. He failed to do so. Later, he shifted focus to India, Pakistan, but couldn't make progress. In the Middle East, I have no doubt that Trump genuinely wanted to prevent a war between Iran and Israel and sought a peaceful resolution. Hence, he allowed the talks and appointed a Middle East envoy. But the Zionist lobby's control over American politics is such that Netanyahu, with its support, completely embarrassed and sidelined Trump. As a result, the moral authority and prestige of the US presidency have been significantly reduced on the global stage. Just like Trump couldn't achieve success in trade talks with China and was defied there, leading to a decline in moral authority, the same has now happened with Israel. This will have many unintended consequences worldwide. In places where America used to solve problems through leadership, that ability is now fading. That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.